I just saw this film last night in theaters and I have so many thoughts about it, so I'm going to be throwing it all to this one video. The Paradise of Thorns is a new Thai drama film from GDH 559, and it's also the directorial debut of Narumbet Kuno, also known as Boss Kuno. The film centers around the lucrative durian orchard built together by Sek and Thong Kham in the poorest region of Thailand. The two set out to unofficially marry each other, since same-sex marriage is not legal in Thailand, and live happily together. But tragedy strikes as Sek falls to his death one night while tending to the farm. Since their marriage is not recognized by the law, the land previously under Sek's name falls to his mother, who shows up with their unregistered stepsister, Mo. Thong Kham has to fight and reclaim the dream he once had in his hands from Mo and Sek's mother. The Paradise of Thorns uses the durian orchard and the various other characters trying to claim ownership of it to deliver a social commentary that mainly criticizes the lack of legal recognition for same-sex marriage in Thailand. But beyond that, the film also highlights other social issues in Thailand, such as the lower class's scramble for a comfortable life. The film also plays with the idea of seeing how far someone would go to fight for what they believe is theirs. Now, looking at the film through this lens, it's not hard to compare this film to Parasite. The Paradise of Thorns even structures itself like a modern-day tragedy similar to that of Parasite, and some of the cinematography choices even screams Parasite to me. More on that later. I could even argue that this is Thailand's version of Parasite given the way that it tackles social issues through a beautiful presentation, but just calling this film Thailand's Parasite feels reductive, as the film still has so much to offer and it feels so fresh, especially through its characters. I really do think that the charm of this film lies in its main characters, who all have tangible motivations and emotions to the point where they feel like real people. Thong Kham is the main protagonist of the film, and it's the character we spend most of our time with, and we also see most of the film through his perspective. We see how he worked to build a farm with Sek, and how they had dreams of finally making a profit from all their hard work. But we also see just how quickly it gets ripped away from him when Sek dies. The film gears us to root for Thong Kham, and sets up Mo and Sang, Sek's mother, to be the antagonist duo. But we also understand where Mo and Sang are coming from, and why they'd want to infiltrate the orchard. It's to escape their life of poverty in a pursuit of a more comfortable life. The same thing that Thong Kham was trying to achieve with Sek in the first place. But since Mo is also not entitled to the land, as she's not legally registered as Sang's daughter, she too has to fight to claim the orchard as her inheritance. It ends up being a fight between three characters for one piece of land, with different stakes for everyone. Other than feeling like real people, these characters are also morally corrupt, and they slowly lose their humanity as they fight over the durian orchard. We see them manipulate one another, sabotage one another, and rope in other people to do their bidding for them. There are points in this film where the audience might even want to switch for who they root for, or even turn on characters entirely as more is revealed about them. Something that becomes more apparent within the final act, which I'm not going to spoil here since this is a spoiler-free review after all. These characters were masterfully brought to life by its actors who were perfectly casted for the role. Both the lead actors brought out the visceral emotions onto the screen so well that there wasn't a single point where it didn't feel unbelievable. You can tell from every moment how committed each actors were to bringing their characters to life. Even when the acting went over the top, it didn't feel unnatural or out of place. It felt like it came from a place of pure rage. What helps a lot too is that the director picked out actors who could relate to the struggle of each characters. In an interview with Today, Boss shared that he picked someone who could relate to the struggle of living through poverty and fighting for success for Mo, and he picked someone who could relate to the loss of their son for Sek's mother. This helped to let actors breathe life into the characters, and it absolutely shows. Meanwhile, Thong Kham's actor didn't really get casted for his ability to relate to the character, but yet he still puts on a performance that feels like he's actually gone through it before. All this makes it really hard to believe that aside from the film being a debut for its director, it is also a debut film for the two lead actors of Thong Kham and Mo. But another central character to this film is none other than the durian orchard itself. Much like how the house in Parasite is a character, so is the orchard in this film. The orchard having a house at the top of the hill is such a great visual for the climb to the top. The film also reinforces the durian orchard as a central character, as we never leave the orchard to a different setting unless that setting will have an impact on its fate later in the plot. Which brings me to talk about how great that plot is. The film managed to release at the perfect time to help continue the conversation for marriage equality in Thailand, especially since the trailer for this film dropped only a month after the proposal for a Marriage Equality Act passed in Thailand's Senate in June. The film fully tackles the issues surrounding the lack of legal protection for queer couples and the inability to be recognized as a family by law. It looks at the consequences that it has when it comes to inheritance and legal decision making. But the way that both Tong Kam and Mo neither have legal claim to the durian orchard for their own reasons sets up this perfect leveled playing field for the characters. And we see that both of these characters need to find their own way to get ahead of one another. The film uses this inequality as a jumping pad for other social issues that the film also covers, such as the overarching desire to live a comfortable life. By choosing characters from a lower class and setting the film in the poorest province in Thailand, it makes the durian orchard feel like a gold mine for these characters. The gold mine is boosted by the fact that durian farms don't typically exist in the north, and it increases the price of an already expensive fruit within the region. The scramble for the gold mine is then a selfish scramble for that comfortable life, and the perfect story to encapsulate the lower class struggle in Thailand. The film also uses every single second of its screen time to its fullest extent. There's not a single slow moment in the film, and if there is, it's usually a setup that pays off later in the film. They made every single moment count that I literally went to the bathroom for less than 5 minutes and I ended up missing a plot point that pays off a couple of scenes later. The decision to never show anything that isn't relevant to the fate of the durian orchard means that our perception of each character relies entirely on their relationship to the durian orchard. It's a really bold move that ends up working for the whole film all the way up to its somewhat abrupt ending. This film is also one of the best shot Thai films of the year. They really weren't afraid to try out unconventional angles, and they did really well to create frame-within-frame separation between characters existing within the same space. The film also has other fun compositions, such as putting the house at the top of the hill in the orchard, which means the characters have to physically climb up to reach it, and it makes the house look like a castle on the top of the hill. But it also reflects the original title as well of Viman Nam, which Viman refers to the sacred temple in Buddhism. Honestly, the film plays with similar concepts of showing division through physical levels and division of people in the same house through its framing, that it wouldn't be too surprising that they were inspired by the cinematography in Parasite. This dark story is also contrasted by bright and playful colors that shouldn't work, but yet it still does. It adds playfulness to the serious story and gives it a uniquely Thai look, especially since Thailand is a country that likes to fill itself with bright colors. Also, can we talk about how the cinematography is done by someone who's usually a professional rapper? Jesus, talk about range. I mean, God, this film is filled with so much talent, and they just gave it their all. It's incredible how this film looks, and this guy definitely has potential, so I'm very excited to see what else he does next. Paradise of Thorns is one of the best Thai films of the year. In my opinion, especially with how unafraid it is to tackle very prominent social issues such as same-sex marriage and poverty in Thailand, using its fleshed out and very well acted main characters presented in a beautifully shot film. Every minute of the screen time counts towards the modern-day tragedy narrative that shows the characters playing the cards that they are dealt with in a society that discriminates them. If I have to put a number to it, I would give this film a 4.5 out of 5. I would say that it is a shame that the rest of the world won't be able to experience how good this film is, but the fact that it managed to get selected for the Toronto International Film Festival a few weeks ahead of its local release here, that's pretty huge. If anything, it's really huge for Thai films, especially for commercial ones, because they usually don't make the festival circuit. It's usually indie films. But regardless, if you are attending TIFF, make sure to add this to your watch list. And if you're not attending, there is a pretty high chance that this film will be seen by international distributors at the festival, and it might get a wider release. And the day that it does, please, I urge you to go watch this film. It is such an incredible debut film, and it is such a good addition to Thai cinema that it literally belongs in film classes. And if you've had the chance to already see the film, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear you guys' thought on the film too. And if you liked this type of content, hitting the like button will let me know that you guys do. And obviously subscribe and hit the notification icon so you don't miss out videos like this in the future. Alright, thank you for listening to me yap about this goddamn movie.